Physical Education information session. My name is Kira, and tonight we're going to be looking into the lens of health and physical education at a foundation level. Now, what do we know about health and physical education? So it might be sport, it could be nutrition, but there are many misconceptions of this unit, one being that we only focus on sport. Now, that's not the truth, but it's my responsibility tonight to inform you of the truth. And so we're going to be talking about the components of the curriculum, so the different strands and sub-strands. And then we're going to be going on and talking about the significance of HPE in a modern day classroom. And then we're going to be delving deeper into practice, so talking about the pedagogical approaches that I will be using throughout this year. So firstly, the aim of health and physical education at a foundation level is to inform students about the safety and well-being of each other really, and to develop skills such as critical thinking, empathy, and also just emotional well-being really. Now the first strand is movement and physical activity. So this focuses mainly on the development of motor skills and really just gaining an insight into the risks of movement. Now the first substrand is moving our body. So that introduces our pupils to the concepts of movement. And it also allows them to participate in activities that don't need equipment or do need equipment. And then we move on to the second substrand, which is understanding movement. So this one is really important because it allows students to make a link between movement and effort. And then we move to the third substrand, which is learning through movement. Now this one is really important because, as we know, movement and sports can be quite strenuous on our bodies and actually really unsafe at times. So it's really important for students to understand instructions and the need for instructions and listening, in able to be safe. And then we move on to the second strand, which is personal, social and community health. This one overall means just connecting with peers and understanding what it means to be healthy. So we move on to the first substrand, which is being healthy, safe and active. This one really indicates that pupils will understand protective behaviours that will ensure that they remain safe. So just like we were talking about here, pupils will actually develop motor skills. Now, moving on to motor skills, we've got a poster up here which has some examples of movements that they will learn. So kicking, catching, hopping, and at the bottom it says dodging. Now, dodging is actually a form of protection, which is very crucial at this stage of child development. Now, moving on to the second substrand, which is communicating and interacting for health and well-being. Now, this one focuses mainly on actively participating in activities in order to develop a sense of belonging. So it's more about the emotional health of a child, if anything. And then we move on to the third substrand, which is contributing to healthy, active communities. So it's really important that pupils are able to understand how they are to become healthy and why we need to be healthy. So in order to do this, we allow them to understand what contributes to their own health and well-being. So why do we think health and physical education is important in our modern society? Well, first of all, it explores children's mental, emotional, social and spiritual health. So therefore it's quite holistic. Now, research indicates that students are required to develop communication and analytical skills in the foundation year. So it's actually been deemed, this subject has been deemed successful in this area. It also recognises the many changes physiologically and emotionally in children's development. It allows pupils to understand their own emotions and also develop empathy for their peers, which is a necessity at this stage of learning. Now, identity is a very, very important word. It's a very important concept in children's development. So therefore, children are able to identify themselves by having a deeper understanding of how they feel and what they enjoy and how they learn. So it's very, very crucial for them to understand that. And lastly, it appreciates diversity. So in saying that, it's really, really important as a teacher to understand differentiation. Now, differentiation means really children all have different skills, abilities, come from different backgrounds, have different beliefs. So it's really, really, really important to consider this. Now, moving on to the pedagogical approaches. Now, student-centered learning, in other words, child-led learning, enables pupils to develop independence, become self-regulated learners, and also work at their own pace, which is really important. So my role as a teacher will be as a facilitator. So I will be working in the background and motivating them. It also encourages self-evaluation, which links to critical thinking. Now, the strength-based learning is pretty much looks at their competence, capabilities, their overall learning really. It also builds resilience and is known to motivate pupils. Now, lastly, play-based learning is quite a holistic approach because at this stage of development, they need to be creative, they need to have interaction. So therefore, the play-based learning will allow them to be independent as well. It will promote self-regulated learning and also confidence at that stage, which is really important. So now that we know that the curriculum focuses on a wide range of strategies and approaches, and also there are many ways of teaching this subject. So it's really important to understand that physical education and health is not used for blowing off steam, let's just say. So it's really, really important to understand that. Okay, well, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Thank you very much for watching.